You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
Welcome. And as Robert Ashton says, Thursday night, dude, what the hell? I've got practice. Yes, Go Time Dolphins is live on a Thursday evening if you're in the UK, Thursday afternoon, like early afternoon if you are in the US. If you are joining us, be it on X, if you're color, or I guess YouTube, if you're color, then yeah, give us a like. Drop us a follow on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I can't think of any others. Obviously, drop us a like and comment on YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're feeling extra generous, then go subscribe over on Patreon at Go Time Dolphins. Patreon.com/Go Time Dolphins. Even I messed up. Wow. Charlie Touche, how are you?
It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. Got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast, and it is Super Wild Card Weekend. And there's a lot of news between week 18 of the season and Super Wild Card Weekend. So this is not the Kansas City Chiefs preview, but we couldn't miss a Wednesday and then not fill it in before the third episode of the week. So Go Time Dolphins will have 3 episodes this week, and we're about to get it jumping, Kadeem. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Like I said to you literally before we went live, I feel like, as always, once we stopped recording on Monday, a bunch of news came out. And yeah, it's Thursday now, and had we recorded on Wednesday at our normal time, a bunch of news would have come out the moment we finished. So shout out to the great Fins fan. He says, yo, as you already mentioned, we've got Color in the chat. We've got Robert in the chat. The great Fin fan says, what they do, fellas. There's so many places to start, but I feel like this is Go Time Dolphins. If you start with some Dolphins news, Jalen Waddle in his rookie season broke the rookie record receptions at, was it 104 receptions? 103.
Rookie reception record. It was either 104 or 115, actually.
It wasn't 115.
So yeah, it was 104 then.
So I mentioned that because 2 years later, it's been broken already. I'm so bad at names at the moment. Is it Pakua, or Puka? I'm really bad at this.
Puka Nacua.
For the
Los Angeles Rams, actually helped win some championships in fantasy football. Shout out to whoever had Puka Nacua on the bingo card.
Yeah, he shout out to that. Him, I should say. He broke the rookie reception record. I think it's 105 receptions now. So that record lasted a couple of years. But he's probably going to go on, or has a very good shout of winning Rookie of the Year. It's going to go to CJ Stroud. But, you know, breaking that kind of record at least puts him up there at the very least. Shout out to Lewis Jones, says Fins with the win. Hopefully so on Saturday. So that Waddle record, probably the most important or the most relevant Dolphins record. Or no, Dolphins news. My mind's all over the place. But Black Monday, Charlie, saw a number of coaches lose their job. And since then, there's been a few departures that have kind of shocked people. If you are a long time and keen listener of Go Time Dolphins, the Mike Vrabel news shouldn't shock you, because I literally said it a couple of weeks ago. And Charlie was like, no, he ain't going nowhere.
Bro, you so slick, Kadeem.
I'm not
You
slick.
think
I'm
you
not
slick,
slick
bro.
at all.
Bro, you didn't say that. You was like, well, I can see Mike Vrabel ended up in New England. You ain't
I
say,
didn't. I,
oh,
I did not say that. I did not say that. I
what
did
did you
not
say?
say that. I said
What did you say,
there's a
Kadeem?
very good chance that Mike Vrabel loses his job in Tennessee because he's falling out with the GM, and you were like you couldn't see how that happened. I was like, I'm hearing he might lose his job because he's falling out with the GM. Fast forward to Black Monday, Mike Vrabel loses his job.
But he didn't lose his job. He parted ways. So he like, yo, I'm done here. Like, yo, we might as well just break up. It was an amicable breakup. That's what it was. It wasn't that he lost his job.
You know those break up with girlfriends where she breaks up with you, but you tell your boys, no, it was amicable. Like we both decided to break up. Well, yeah, you both decided because she said she's leaving and you couldn't stop her from going. That's the only say in the decision you had. You
Nah,
had to,
bro, you acting. And right. And if that's the case, Mike Vrabel was the one who broke up and Tennessee couldn't keep him. If that's the case.
I've heard it's the other way round. The great Finns fan says Charlie he lost his job, but like, yeah, this isn't
All
no
right.
mutual agreement.
We'll see about that. We'll see. When we'll see by who recovers faster.
Wouldn't matter who recovers faster.
When he's successful at coaching again and they're unsuccessful at being a franchise again.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think it's the wrong decision from the Titans, but it was their decision. They made it. And again,
I disagree.
I'll try and get Mike Vrabel on the phone. See what he says. But also, so that wasn't I guess the most outlandish news. Former Miami Dolphins head coach Nick Saban has he retired from football or just retired from Alabama?
I think he retired from football, bro. I don't think you retire from Alabama. I think you leave. You know what I'm saying? You resign and go somewhere else. But the word is he retired. So I think he retired from football.
Yeah. I guess it's one that many people wouldn't have seen coming. But after something like hadn't he lost something like 29 games he lost in his entire Alabama career. One of the best college coaches of all time, and obviously that Dolphins link given his short stint in Miami. Color commentary says bring him home. Charlie, you bring in Nick Saban home, or you just allowing him to see out his, the rest of his years doing whatever he wants?
Home is Florida. Home is like Miami. Why would we say home? Now, I wouldn't mind. I actually wouldn't mind, actually. So I can't say that. But if he was the Hurricanes coach, I would be okay with that. But I don't want nothing to do with Nick Saban. I'm okay with that. But you know what I'm saying? If he ended up as a Hurricanes coach, obviously I wouldn't mind it. But I'm not an advocate of Nick Saban, and I still have an open wound of how he did the Dolphins. It's not an open wound. It's a bad taste. And actually, there's other people like LB who got it super bad. You know what I'm saying? And he just can't do Nick Saban ever again. And I'm not that bad on him, but I'm cool. But you got to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah,
you trying to have Nick Saban in Miami somewhere?
Nah. Listen, we discussed it on Monday in the Bills review, and people saying that time to give it to Mike McDaniel, all that kind of stuff. I'm not there, regardless of the result on Saturday. I will not be there, so I'm certainly not gonna release Mike McDaniel of his duty to bring in Nick Saban. I just don't think that's the way forward.
Chiefs win 49-17. You're not getting rid of McDrip.
No. Like, unless he's got, like, obviously in UK football you can score own goals. Unless he's scoring own goals over and over again, like, it's the Dolphins are going to Kansas in one of probably the coldest games of all time.
You know what, Kadeem? And I'm gonna set this up for later during the podcast, and I'm gonna let you continue, but I'm gonna set this up for later during the podcast. Since I bleed aqua and orange, I rewatched the Buffalo game like an idiot. And not only did I rewatch the Buffalo game, I rewatched the Philadelphia Eagles game, Eagles versus Dolphins, because I'm an idiot. And it just dawned on me that the Dolphins had to call a timeout, or it was either a timeout or a delay a game on the very first offense. It was a delay a game on the very first offensive play in Philadelphia. And then we had to call a timeout on the very first offensive play, like coming out of a kickoff. It was the wildest thing. So if McDaniel and the offense come out first play on offense in the playoff game and take a delay of game, and then first play of the first half and take another delay of game, you still not, and we lose 49-17. You're not getting rid of McDrip.
No, like I can understand where you're coming from, because it's like, it's the same mistakes over and over again. The ones that we should have fixed the moment they happened, and you haven't fixed them. I understand where you're coming from. And yeah, obviously those kind of things happening. If he abandons the run in the second half or whatever, I can understand. Again, I can totally understand people saying, "Nah, I'm done." That's their opinion. I'm of the belief that if you can get a somewhat healthy team, and again, no team is healthy in January, like that's an absolute myth. But if you can get, a healthier team than the Dolphins have had this year, I would like to see what McDaniel can do with that, throughout the entire season. I'm not saying next year is make or break, but next year will go a long way as to whether he gets an extension in Miami or whether they're going to blow up and try and start again.
We're not blowing nothing up, Kadeem. Nothing's getting blown up. Tua's getting an extension, and so is Mike McDrip. They're both getting extended. Tua's extension is coming before McDrip's extension, but they're both getting extended. You 100%. Had somewhere else you wanted to go with this?
No. What's up, Kenna? Welcome to the chat. I think I said what's up, Rob. Can't remember. And on the Chiefs game, the great Finns fan says, "I'd be damned if the Finns lose."
We're not losing. This is not the Chiefs preview episode, but we're not losing. Pete Carroll out in Seattle. Was that a surprise to you?
I haven't been paying that much attention to the Seahawks this year. And I would love to get Charlie Wilson on here to get his thoughts on Pete Carroll leaving. But I don't think it's a surprise, but I think it probably is the right time for him to go. It seems like he's kind of taken a new position upstairs. You can't really allow all of that knowledge of the organization, of the league, to just leave and not, try and tap into it where possible. So I just think it's the right time for Pete Carroll to walk away. He's like, what, 72? Like, time to freshen up the message.
Yeah. If you think about Saban, Pete Carroll, them boys up there, they got some miles on the tires, bro. And so does Belichick, someone else who is no longer working at his former employer. Like, what did you make of that news?
That's probably like the least surprising one. It's interesting. I think we discussed it on Patreon. So if you're not a Patreon, then you haven't heard us discuss our plan or what we think is going to happen in New England. But we kind of said that let's not be surprised when I think we had 4 names who could potentially take over, and probably 2 more viable than the others. So we're looking at Brian Flores to take over. Jared Mayo, I think he's like a linebackers coach or something, but he's very highly regarded in the building. And then you've obviously got Josh McDaniels and Mike Patricia. The interesting one will be Mike Vrabel going back to New England, turning things around there. It can be very interesting. But yeah, Bill Belichick leaving isn't a surprise. I wish he stayed longer, because Tua's 6-0 against Bill Belichick. Tua wasn't losing to the New England Patriots anytime soon. But I am, as an NFL fan, interested to see what they do next. What about you?
As a AFC East fan, I'm thinking, yeah, I would have wished they kept Belichick around, because I don't think he catches Shula if he stays in New England. I think that record's safe. But even if he leaves, I think the record might be safe with Belichick. I don't think Belichick gets the record, but I think Andy Reid might creep up, and start threatening Shula. And maybe we don't have to worry about it within the next 4 years, but records are records. Someone is always going to come along and do some damage. And then after Andy Reid is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's way off. He's got a ways to go, but it's like someone's always going to come along and threaten something. Yeah, I could see. I would be concerned if Flores took over in New England or Mike Vrabel took over in New England. That is it. Anybody else, I'm not concerned about them. And when I say concerned, I'm not talking about they're threatening. Like, oh, they're going to threaten us. It's going to take them a while to be someone to think about. Like, all right, we have to think about the Patriots again. But I think Flores and Vrabel, I can't even say it. Would be my candidates if I was the New England front office. It would be Vrabel or Flores, and I think it'd be a good look for them too. I think it fits the mold, the culture. It's in house, like the Miami Heat do it all the time, or the San Antonio Spurs do it all the time. You just promote from within, and you go back to that. But Kansas City got this playoff game. One of the coldest games ever in the history of the National Football League. I'm not saying, and there's been some talk about moving the game. So the city of Kansas City has come out and said they do not want fans at the game and stay home and be safe. This is a legitimate, this is something real. I should have probably got prepared and threw up newsletters or links and stuff. But they've come out and said they don't want people at the games and they want everybody to be safe and don't go to the game, which obviously would be a benefit for the Miami Dolphins. And then there is also a little whisper of they should move the game to Indianapolis because Indianapolis not playing. It's an indoor facility and it's out of the frigid conditions. You know what I'm gonna say? That's a great idea. That's an awesome idea. We should play this game in Indianapolis for sure. Not saying I'm afraid of the weather, but what do you make of all the talk that's going on, Kadeem?
As always, thanks for all the comments. We always appreciate it. The Great Fins fan says McDee's scheme and play designs are magnificent. It's just a play calling. He hobbled in. Chef Drew says, "What's good, OG, Kadeem, Charlie, and everyone? How y'all doing this afternoon? Check your posts.
Chef it up.
And
Chef it up.
Rob was talking about the Don Shula record and said that that record should be the least of our worries. Surely nobody cares about it, really. I think people care because it's just nice having it. And I think if anyone, you wouldn't want Belichick to take it, given some of the wins and accolades.
I think it's really the Don Shula is the Dolphins coach, and we don't want the Belichick to take the Dolphins coach's record. And I feel them, but it's not like I really, really care about the record type thing. But go ahead, continue.
And Color says that they gave that to the Bills, and I assume he means they moved the game. It's interesting because I saw someone say earlier that if you're a Dolphins fan and you're complaining about the weather and wanting to move the game, then you're a hypocrite because obviously when other teams complain about the weather, or the heat in Miami, then people say, oh, deal with it, all that kind of stuff. I think genuinely there's a difference between somewhat normal weather. I've never been to Miami, but I think there's a difference between somewhat normal weather in Miami and team just not used to it, and playing in one of the coldest games in NFL history, and people legitimately saying you probably shouldn't go to this game. If you do, wrap up super warm, and when you move back to the stadium, be mindful of like all this kind of stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and say again, Color says minus 30 degrees wind chill is far more dangerous than 98 degrees C. And Charlie's on mute as you're talking.
I was going to say exactly that. Negative 30 degrees, and all right, that's a wind chill of negative 30 degrees to be fair. That's wind assisted, right, bro? Even if we played in 100 degrees in Florida, you can still pace yourself. Like, yo, it's too hot out here. I need more Gatorade. I'm cramping. I need more water. I'm too tired. You know what I'm saying? Negative 30-degree wind chill, bro. Like, that is a legitimate health risk. Like, yo, we have to be careful with these boys. Yeah, you can have a heat stroke playing in some 100-degree weather, but you can still control some things. You could take equipment off, you could take shirts off. You get, hey, I'm all right. I'm not built for this heat. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to get to heat stroke conditions. You can't hide from negative 30 degrees. And I did not do the calculations in Celsius, so I gotta imagine if I ballpark it, it's gonna be actually about negative 30 Celsius without the wind chill. It'll be in that neighborhood if I ballpark it. That's funny that it came out to that. But my thing is this, and I want to be clear. I don't want to move the game. I don't think we should move the game. I don't think it's a bit dangerous. I do think it could be a bit dangerous, but I don't think it's at the point where, yo, listen, outside of the Dolphins, we really got to think about protecting these. I'm not there yet. Well, we got to protect these boys. I'm not there yet. But the NFL talking about player safety. Oh, player safety. We can't do the tush push no more. Player safety. You know what I'm saying? Always player safety this, player safety rule change. At what point does it become player safety? And we need to really consider not playing this game in these frigid conditions, i.e. Buffalo got their game moved and it was played somewhere else, which I thought it needed to, because people actually ended up dying in that blizzard. Like, not fans that were at the game, but people around the city, and Buffalo as a city was going through it. So yeah, there is a legitimate conversation that has to happen. And you say, when do you have to start thinking about moving a game that's too cold?
That's the interesting thing. And like, so yeah, it kind of says it, like, obviously it will literally burn your fingers off. At least one player on either side will lose a finger or toe. Book it. I really don't hope it gets to that. Chef Jew says frostbite in the cold weather if you're not used to it. And Tim Caro says frozen pitch ever been an issue in the US? UK soccer, hockey, rugby can have game called off due to frozen pitches, and yeah, it happens all the time. Not so much at like the top level because they have under floor heating, all that kind of stuff. So you don't normally get that much of an issue. But lower down the leagues, the football pitches, the stadium, all that kind of stuff isn't built for the cold weather. And yeah, I'm not. I don't think, or I'm not one of the Dolphins fans saying move the game because it's too cold. Like, no, it's cold. You got to deal with it. Be it if you was in Green Bay, Minnesota, like anywhere cold, it doesn't matter. You have to deal with that as part of playing in those stadiums. But this is really, really, really talking about, player safety. And like you said, the season is always the league is always looking to, or pretend they care about player safety. If it gets to a point where it's like, actually, nah, this game can't go ahead, it's got to be moved 24 hours, all that kind of stuff. I think I saw before we jumped on that they're like, we're not, at the very least, we're not, changing the time of the game. But yeah, this is, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 24 hours, whether it gets colder, all that good stuff, I guess.
So to answer Tim's question, no, it's never been a thing. Frozen fields, we call them fields here. We don't call them pitches, obviously, like you guys in the UK. But it's never been a problem. They always just played on it, and you got to deal with the conditions. Like, that's, so they do freeze though, and then it's the turf is bad, but they still play on it here. And it's crazy how we actually talked about soccer players like Messi coming over here and saying, yo, I'm not playing on XYZ field. So you guys figure it out. I'll play here, but when we play teams with banged up fields, I'm not playing. So it's crazy how the U.S. takes care of international players when they come over, but they don't take care of their own. And that's what a lot of football players been saying about artificial turf. Like, yo, get this turf out of here. You guys have all the international players coming over here, and they don't even play on it, but we're employees of the team, the actual team. So yeah, hey, I had something for you, Kadeem, and We don't have to do it right now, but you want to go somewhere else before I get into what I wanted to get into?
No. Let's keep it moving.
I got a question, and I'm gonna list some names for everyone, and this is for you, Kadeem, and this is for people in the comments. So if you know where this list is going, let us know in the comments. But I got a question for you, Kadeem. What is this list of? And I'm gonna give you the names on this list: Dan Marino, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes, Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. What list is that?
I genuinely couldn't tell you.
Cool. If you know in the comments, let us know in the comments, and I'll give you the names again, but I'll leave out how many times they did it. Someone said, Tim Carroll said passing leaders that didn't win the Super Bowl. But I'll read these. That's not the correct answer, Tim. That's a great guess, though. And if you yeah, that's a great guess. That's an awesome guess, actually.
Yeah, like I put
that is an awesome guess. Because we're not talking. And to be clear, and we don't know if he meant it like this, but if you think about it, passing leaders that season that didn't win the Super Bowl that season is how that question could have came off. Awesome guess, by the way. It's not it. And I'll go through these names again one more time, real quick, so people driving and listening to the audio version could think about what this list is. And I'm just go through the list as I did again. Dan Marino, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes, Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Now here's and Tim clarified and said that's what he meant. Here's the thing. The list gets thrown off when you hear Justin Herbert and Jameis Winston. You know what I'm saying? So Color says his answer is quarterbacks who had over 4,000 yards without winning the Super Bowl that year, which is actually what Tim said, but that's also wrong.
Not necessarily.
Without winning the Super Bowl that year, is it not?
No, but as in like passing.
Oh, passing. All right. So Tim said passing leaders that didn't win the Super Bowl that season. Color said 4K passing quarterbacks who had 4K that year and didn't win the Super Bowl. Also incorrect. This, I believe, Sherrod Steve will get this. And he's probably like listening, like saying the answer, but he's not in the chat and he's not on the show. So he will probably get this. This is the 5,000 yard club. These are quarterbacks that pass for 5,000 yards in a season. I ain't gonna lie, Drew Brees did it how many times? 5 times. Drew Brees did it 5 times. Peyton Manning did it once. Matt Stafford did it once. Tom Brady did it twice. Mahomes did it twice. You heard Marino do it. And I want to be very clear. Dan Marino did this in 1984. Threw for 5,000 yards. 5,084 yards in 1984 is when Dan Marino did this. The next quarterback didn't do it until Drew Brees did it in 2008. About 3 weeks ago, Coach McDaniel was asked about this, and he was asked about Marino throwing for 5,000 yards in 1984. And everyone knows how smart Coach McDaniel is and how much of a savant he is on offense and how much of a genius he is with these play calls. And his answer was pretty profound, and I appreciated it from a football savant. He said, Dan Marino throwing for 5,000 yards in 1984 is equivalent to someone throwing for 6,000 yards in the NFL today. Like a 6,000 yard passer. And this might be the only time I disagree with football knowledge when it comes to someone who knows his stuff like Mike McDaniel. But I think I disagree. That's like throwing for like 6,400 yards today. Dan Marino throwing for 5,000 yards in 1984 is like throwing a quarterback throwing for 6,400 yards in the NFL today. It is just, bro, who does this? And that's how ahead of the game Dan Marino was. And it didn't get broken until, and actually it didn't get surpassed until 2011. Breeze did it in 2008, but he didn't break the record. It didn't get broken until 2000. And there's a reason why I bring this list up. Do you know how many? Oh, by the way, Tua Ningamanu Olipola Tungavailoa led the league in passing yards this year. Do you know how many yards he ended the season with, Kadeem? And it's pretty out there. It's basic information at this point.
Thanks for that.
You can ballpark it. Yeah, you can ballpark it if you don't know. I'm just saying it's nothing like no one. But go ahead, continue. My bad. Do you know it?
Well, I was going to say it's around 4,400. Carter says 4,635. That seems very specific to not be right. So, yeah, I was going to go around 4,400. Carter's gone with 4,635.
And color is correct. It is, well, I don't know if he's correct, but it's around it's like 4,600 yards passing. It's 46 something. And we'll just go with the 46.35. The reason why I say this, Kadeem, is because that list that we just named would I don't know, it happened 15 times, but it was only like 7 quarterbacks on it, something like that. That's a pretty extravagant list, bro. Everybody on that list, with the exception of the 2 caveats of Jameis Winston and Justin Herbert, bro. And that's not even a joke. I really had to point that out. Listen to these boys. Dan Marino, bro. Dan Marino. Everybody knows who Dan Marino is. Hall of Famer, the best to never do it. That's who Dan Marino is known for. The best to never do it. And all jokes aside, Dan Marino is your favorite quarterback's favorite quarterback. Gee, that is the truest thing. Joe Montana, Dan Marino's favorite quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's favorite quarterback, I should say favorite quarterback before the year 2000, because, the further we get, these young boys come in, young kids come in, and it's a little different. But everybody loves Dan Marino. Every quarterback loves Dan Marino. Peyton Manning came on the Dan Marino, I forget what they call it on the NFL Network. It's like it's all about Dan Marino. It's like, Dan Marino, A Football Life, it's called.
Yeah.
And it opens with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning says, and I remember this game actually, Dan Marino versus Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's first game, we picked him off maybe 4 times or 5 times. It could have been 4. It could have been 5 times we intercepted Peyton Manning on his first NFL game. Maybe 4, but if someone said it was 5, I would not be surprised. So Peyton Manning's on the sideline, and he says, usually you just sit on the sideline and let the game go, and you're looking at your next drive or whatever. But I sat on the sideline, and Dan Marino, and I had to stand up, and I had to go look at the game. I'm like, yo, it's Dan Marino out here. And then Dan Marino threw some type of skinny post to maybe Irving Fryer, maybe. And Peyton Manning said, yeah, I'm sitting back down because that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that's not normal. I'm sitting down. That's exactly what he said. Oh, we got some news coming in. Let's see what it is. We got some more news coming in. Let's see what it is. Nothing that's breaking, but you guys will catch up to it. Some stuff on Michael Irvin and alleged misconducts. But listen, the reason why I bring this up, Kadeem, and I don't think anyone in the comments would disagree. Oh, okay, so we got the actual number. 4,624 is how many yards Tua threw for this year? 376 yards short of 5,000. How about this? Dan Marino, Hall of Famer. You can stop me when you disagree, Kadeem. Dan Marino, Hall of Famer. Drew Brees, Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes, Hall of Famer. Tom Brady, Hall of Famer. Who else was on this list? Ben Roethlisberger, Hall of Famer. Maybe the only one who people would have a gripe with is Matthew Stafford, who I believe is actual Hall of Famer. Now, if you don't believe Matthew Stafford is the Hall of Famer, I would say see Eli Manning. And my conversation is done. I'm not even going to argue with you. Yes, Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls, but there's no way. I'm not even going to argue if someone argues like when someone says Eli Manning was better than Matt Stafford. I'm not going there. So all of these boys on this list are Hall of Famers, except Jameis Winston and Justin Herbert. Let's think about this for 1 second, real quick. And this is not what. Let me land the plane. Jameis Winston dug himself in all these holes by himself and had to throw his way out the hole, and that's how he got over 5,000. It may have even been the 30-30 season, the 30 picks, 30 touchdown season. And if it wasn't, that is incredible that someone could do both feats in 2 different seasons. Throw for 30 touchdowns and 30 picks, and then in another season throw for like 5,000 yards. So it's crazy that Jameis Winston did it. He's not a Hall of Famer, and there's obviously an exception to the rule. And then you have Justin Herbert who did it, which is still impressive. And maybe I'm not the biggest Justin Herbert fan. He's cool, but you know, there's this whatever. I'm not really big on Justin Herbert. Cool, Justin Herbert did it. Awesome. Kind of plays into my argument of, well, how come you're not helping your team win games if you could do this? Like you're doing this, but you're not winning games. Crazy. I said all of that to arrive here. How many games did Tua get pulled from this season, Kadeem? Do you know? And obviously, it was not pulled for performance. It was pulled because the game was out of reach and we had to bench starters. How many games did Tua get pulled from?
It wasn't like 4 or 5.
It was about 4. It was about 4 games he got pulled from. And I kind of took a couple notes. Tua got pulled from 4 games late in the game. And 7 games this year were not even competitive. And Tua ended up with 4,600 passing yards. And 7 games were not competitive, and he got pulled from 4. So you guys can now see where I'm landing this plane at. Tua should have easily had over 5,000 yards passing this year. On a list with almost exclusive Hall of Famers. So there are some exceptions. We already talked about that. And anyone could push back and say, well, obviously, Tua will be an exception too along that list with Jameis Winston and Justin Herbert. And I can't argue that right now. But we arrive here. Where are you, Kadeem, with does Tua need to win a playoff game or make a playoff deep run or whatever the narrative you want to be with? Does he need this to get a contract extension?
I think we said this. I think we had this before. I answer that question very quickly. A few comments. Tim Cower says Dan Marino should definitely buy this car, not this one because I'm gonna F this one up, but one just like it. Say it, I dare you to.
Bro, I was waiting for you to just zoom by that comment and not even acknowledge the beauty of that comment, bro. Like, bro, I was waiting on you, because I'm gonna let him mess this up. But shout out to Tim, because that is like the comment of the year right there. Shout out to Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. That is such a good movie. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That was Bad Boys. My bad. That was Bad Boys. Did you even catch that? That was Bad Boys, Kadeem? I
didn't know. I legit. I thought it was Ace Ventura. I don't.
It's Bad Boys.
I've seen all the Bad Boys. I don't know them enough to like quote them and stuff like that. But yeah,
that was still a classic. There's still a classic line.
Tim says, yeah, Stafford has probably done enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Color says Flacco back to punch his Hall of Fame ticket too. Tim says Vincent is funny as hell, almost deserves to be a Hall of Famer just for his quotes. Color reckons that 2 had been pulled from 3 games. The Great Fins fan says, so what are the landmarks for a quarterback to be a Hall of Famer since you feel that Matt Stafford is a Hall of Famer?
I mean, we could stop here. Just entertain it for a second. We won't indulge all that much. But hey, Great Fins fan, Hall of Fame, appreciate your comment. You could come chop it up with us on the quarterback ranking episode too, and we go hard over there. Criteria for a quarterback to go to Hall of Fame, eye test, statistics, and probably impact on his team and the wins. So it's a resume thing. It's not a, oh, he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time, because one can argue Terry Bradshaw has 4 Super Bowl rings and he is nowhere near one of the best quarterbacks of all time, because everyone knows that Steel Curtain defense carried those teams. So Terry Bradshaw was the Eli Manning before Eli Manning, like, bruh. Like, and if I'm being honest, and maybe this comes back, people don't like it, Terry Bradshaw is not even as good as Eli Manning, bro. Like, this is just the truth. And I don't even like Eli Manning. Terry Bradshaw is not even good as him, but he has 4 rings. So of course he's in the Hall of Fame. He's on some Hall of Fame teams. So he's in the Hall of Fame. He's the quarterback. Got 4 rings. I can't even argue against nobody. But when someone says, give me your top 5 quarterbacks, how come Terry Bradshaw isn't in there with 4 championships? And then if you say, give me your top 10 quarterbacks of all time, how come Terry Bradshaw ain't in there with 4 championships? There's got to be a reason, right? So it's the same thing. It's a resume thing, but it's just not a ring count. Like, oh, he has 4 rings. He's one of the best ever. He's in the Hall of Fame. So the opposite can apply when we're talking about a quarterback like Matt Stafford, who has the numbers, who has the comebacks, who has the carried the team moniker, and now he has a comeback Super Bowl winning performance in the Super Bowl to win his ring. So Dan Orlovsky said, oh, this is his Hall of Fame ticket right here. And then he actually came back, no look past Cooper Kupp in the Super Bowl, ended up winning with 1 receiver at the time. For my dollar, Matt Stafford's a Hall of Famer.
Cool. Color asks, did Breeze ever get pulled? I don't think Breeze got pulled in his 5,000-yard season, but I did just see that apparently he's done it 3 years in a row, which is insane. Like,
hey, I ain't gonna lie, I was reading Drew Brees' name off. I'm like, yo, there's a lot of Drew Brees over here. You feel me?
That is mental.
Yeah.
And Winston did do the 5,000 yards in the 30 for 30 season, which again is wow. James Winston. What did you ask me before I got to the comments? Does Turin need a playoff win to get the
actually before while we're still on Jameis Winston real quick? How this is a commercial break. What did you think about Jameis Winston calling the play at the 1 yard line instead of taking a knee in victory formation? He handed the ball off and they scored a touchdown. Did you see that?
I did.
What did you think about
it? It's I guess like an unwritten rule thing, but also like it's a lesson. Always be ready, because you never know when you never know when there's one guy that wants to be that sneaky person. Like, always be ready. Like, it's not good form, but yeah. Like,
Kadeem, I'm a huge proponent of you play to win, bro. Like, but I'm a respectful person, so I would not do it, but I would not get mad if it was done to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you're telling players not to fire off of the ball in victory formation. You know what I'm saying? So now you want to protect yourself. So I don't like the fact like someone could get hurt there, right? Because if I'm not protecting myself, I'm not going to fire off on the ball. I have conceded. I don't want nobody to get hurt. That's professionalism. So that's why I wouldn't do it. But if someone did it to me, I'd be like, dang, I'm not going to get mad, but yo, you could have hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying? All that being said, it is all over social media. And this is what put it into perspective. The Go Time Dolphins media account, social media account, shout out to them on IG. Shout out to them on Twitter too. Shout out to them on TikTok and all over the other platforms. Shout out to the Go Time Dolphins social media team. But on
shout
IG,
out to the Go Time Dolphins team in general, whether you do social media, like whatever it is, shout out to you.
There it is. Shout out to Go Time Dolphins commenters and listeners and subscribers. Shout out to y'all too. So on IG, it's all over the comments, right? It's crazy. And there was a girl in the comments, and the comments are going crazy. And at the top of the comments, it's this chick that says, wait a minute. Why aren't they supposed to score a touchdown in football? You know what I'm saying? Now you don't know if she's being sarcastic or if she's just being a girl. Like, I don't even know football, but I thought you were supposed to. Hey, come at me. I'm at Charlie_Touche on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if she just doesn't know the game as a woman. And she says, wait a minute. I thought you're supposed to score touchdowns in football. And the Go Time Dolphins social media team said, don't listen to them. Score as many touchdowns as you want. And I'm like, yo, that is the comment. That's why whoever runs the Go Time Dolphins account is that dude or chick. Listen, shout out to them. But yeah, man, you can get back to the question. But Jameis Winston also had a response after the game. Like, he was the coach, bro. He was talking like, oh yeah, that was a team decision. That was a team decision. We talked about it. We went we went over it. And yeah, man. So we as a team, we came up with that decision and we had to get that man a touchdown. But whatever, bro. The coach had nothing to do with it. So don't go at the coach. Crazy. But yeah, man.
Next season, when Jameis Winston's about to take victory formation and someone does like a Troy Polamalu and jumps over and cracks him in the head.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's fair game.
Yeah, it's their game. And as Tim says, the head coach would have said to play for 60 minutes, not 50 minutes and 50 odd seconds, then stop, play to the final whistle. This is like genuinely, that didn't the Dolphins botch a victory formation snap? That was like this season or something.
It was we didn't botch it, but it was fumbled though. It was what I'm saying was it wasn't a scramble for the ball. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, fumble, he fumbled the victory formation snap. It was a drop fumble, and he just took a knee still. It wasn't like super crazy.
But to the point is that even the victory formation, like sometimes I see victory formation and defender kind of like try and get a push. I'm like, what are you doing? Like the game's done, there's no need. But you can see why. Because like if you're down 3 and you get the ball, like you just never know. So, but yeah.
Someone, I don't know if it was in the NFL or the college, but one of the nose tackles dove between the center's legs and bounced the ball back up. So it's like, it's the chance of that happening is super unlikely. It's never happened. You know what I'm saying?
I know we're kind of getting off topic. There was it might be a Bucs defensive tackle who got an interception on a spike. The guy went to spike it and he dove underneath and caught it. So listen.
Oh, someone caught it. I seen when someone almost caught it. I seen someone almost catch it. I see someone catch it. You talking about recently?
Yeah.
Nah, bro. I think he almost caught it.
Actually, no. So yeah, Jalen Carter nearly got one. I apologize.
All right, so yeah, that was this year.
Yeah, Jalen Carter nearly got one.
That was crazy, bro. I like, if he would have pulled that off, that would have been crazy. Tim Carroll says,
sorry,
he says, wasn't that Huntley pass the last passing touchdown? But I didn't mind that Huntley pass against the Dolphins. The Ravens doing that last time. I still didn't mind it, but it is what it is. Back to Tua, bro. So Tua could have made this Hall of Fame list in essence, and he was pulled out of 4 games, and 7 games were blown out of proportion. 7, bro. So now, even if he didn't get pulled from these games, you're not passing the ball no more. You're not even trying to win. You're just running the clock out respectfully. So there's an argument to be made, Kadeem, that Tua probably could have had 5,300 yards passing. We'll just say 5,300. I'm a little biased. It could have been more than that, but we'll just say 5,300 for the argument. What are we doing with Tua back to the original question. Continue.
So I promise I will answer the question, but very quickly. It's not even about him getting pulled in certain games. You just look at some of the egregious drops. It's just like I legit reckon on the egregious drops from Hill and Waddle alone, he hit 5,000. But that's neither here nor there. You asked, does Tua need to win a playoff game to get an extension? I had this conversation with Tom Valentine of PFF, and I think I had this conversation with you. People are going to be like, social media, all the Dolphins content creators, the national media in general are going to lose their mind when the Dolphins give Tua a contract this summer of over $45 million, regardless of playoff wins. Like The Dolphins could lose on Saturday, get blown out, and the Dolphins say, "Listen, regardless, here's your contract." People are going to lose their mind. Listen, in my opinion, Tua doesn't need to win a playoff game to get that contract. I think he's earned it already. Back-to-back years playing at what people generally felt was an MVP level when healthy. You can make the argument, and I'm willing to have an argument with people that say that better QB play down the stretch would have, at the very least, won the Titans/Bills game. But no, I think
Titans game.
Yeah.
Better QB play.
Yeah.
All right, you finished with your answer, Kadeem?
That question on the Titans game, I said people can make an argument and they will say Tua had the ball in his hand driving down the field. Yes, obviously the defense gave up 15 points.
So because he had the ball in his hand with the game on the line and we didn't win, better QB play it's on Tua? Like, not the line that was banged up and actually I think it ended on the sack, did it not? But I'm just saying, no, that's a genuine question.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that was not the case. I'm just saying, so if the quarterback ends up with the ball in his hand at the end of the game, it's on him regardless of anything. Like, because that's what it comes out to be. You know what I'm saying? The quarterback gets too much blame when they lose and too much credit when they win. Except this quarterback. This quarterback don't get no credit when we win, but all the credit when we lose. Like, all the blame when we lose. So it's wild how that works. But nah, that was a genuine question. Like, but go ahead.
But yeah, no, so yeah, Tua deserves that contract. You can discuss how much that contract should be, whether it's in the Daniel Jones ballpark or above. But yeah, I think Tua deserves that contract. Again, people want to make an argument about, the Dolphins need to move on and get X, Y, Z. Genuinely, try and find. I'm not trying to like be argumentative. Let us know in the comments, or down the line we'll even invite you on this show, depending on who you are. I don't like everyone. If you can name me a quarterback who you believe who can improve this team and are in, I guess, draft range of when where the Dolphins are picking, or are somewhat available, and you aren't going to get up the house, because listen, you can come in here and say, well, if you give this team 7 first-round picks and blah blah blah. It's like, listen, I'm not trying to get into those dumb conversations. A genuine quarterback who is somewhat available and can essentially take the Dolphins over that line, assuming we don't beat the Chiefs. I'll have a conversation with you. I enjoy debates, but yeah.
So I wanted to get into this real quick before we get into bonus time on this side of bonus time, because this is really where everything was going. People wanted to fire Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. Every year, by the way, they wanted him out of there. Oh, you can't beat Ohio State. You can't beat Ohio State. You can't do this. You can't, no playoff wins, no championship. If they would have had their way, they wouldn't have a championship right now. People want to get rid of Mike McDrip for whatever reason. Oh, he inherited a playoff team. Well, they're still a playoff team, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still here. We still performing. You see what I'm saying? So no, I'm not getting rid of McDaniel, and I'm paying Tua, and it's going to be over $50 million because that's the going rate for a quarterback. Now, if Tua comes in at like 46, people are going to say, again, I'm going to say it again, people are going to say, oh, well, he didn't get paid as much as Herbert. Ha, ha, ha. And they're not going to say, oh, Tua took a team discount. They're not going to say that. It's just go, oh, he's not as good as Herbert. Well, whatever. We'll see how this goes. Now, it's crazy to me, Kadeem, that if Tua didn't perform so well in those 7 games where they blew him out of proportion, he would have 5,000 yards passing. Funny how that works, that he doesn't have 5,000 yards passing because he performed so well in those games, and the games were blown out of proportion. Hear me out. I told you, and I'm going to keep this part short. I'm going to try to. I told you I went back and watched and I want to be this is a disclaimer. I really want to say this, and I want to get this on wax and have give everybody the chance to hear me say this on the podcast. Go back, screenshot it, record it, and say, you remember when you said this? And I promise I will. I'm a huge Tua fan, bro. I'm a huge Dolphin fan. But I like to believe that the people who know me and people who listen to this podcast know that I'm very rational. I don't bet on my team all the time. I say my team's going to lose in certain games. I don't take certain bets because I know they're dangerous. I don't say, oh, the Dolphins going to win the Super Bowl every single season. I don't do it. Matter of fact, I didn't say the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl any season since we've had this podcast, except this season and next season. The Dolphins have a great chance of winning this season and next season the Super Bowl. And it's the first time I ever said on the podcast this season, right? Is when I was like, yo, the Dolphins have Super Bowl aspirations. All the other years, I never said it. So I like to think I'm a very rational Dolphin fan. We lost to the Bills, and I had to think about something, Kadeem. And this is I told you off air. I didn't sleep that night. I told Sherrod Steve too. And I excuse me, I wasn't sure if I was going to share it on the podcast that, yo, I ain't getting no sleep. I had to work the next day. And I was just up thinking about the Dolphins and some other things. And I didn't know if I was thinking about the Dolphins, like if I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about the Dolphins or the other things. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it was a combination of both. And I didn't know why I was not sleeping. Headache. You know what I'm saying? So a day or two later, I was like, bro, are you too biased? I had to check myself. I had to check myself. Am I too biased when it comes to Tua? Do I really need to look into this thing? Like, yo, am I tripping? Am I too much of a fan? Am I wrong? You remember when Tua had this whole self-doubt thing and Coach McDaniel had to talk him up? Like, Flores, like, stomped this man out. And he was thinking, dang, do I suck? You feel me? Like, he really had to think that. So, I ain't gonna lie, the past couple of days, Kadeem, I'm like, yo, let's be real. And you owe it to yourself. You owe it to Kadeem. You owe it to the podcast. You owe it to the people who listen to the podcast. Are you wrong about Tua? Touche? So I had to watch the Buffalo game again. And here we go. I'm not wrong about Tua. And Tua did not play terrible against the Bills as people like to think. Here's the thing, Kadeem. And I know it sounds crazy, and I know there's somebody somewhere listening to the podcast like, I can't do it no more. Someone somewhere like, yo, I cannot do this Tua love no more. And I'm going to tell you why it wasn't terrible. And I would invite, and this is an invitation. I'm going to be real. This is not a funny ha. This is a legit invitation to anyone who would like to challenge me on the Tua Buffalo Bills game and the Tua Philadelphia Eagles game. If y'all thought Tua was terrible in those two games, I will gladly go at it one-on-one with you, and we will point out where he was terrible at. And here's why. I watched it back, Kadeem, and then Sherrod Steve like, boy, you better than me. You feel me? And I watched it back, and it wasn't that he was terrible. It was, yeah, he threw the pick at the end of the game. He threw a terrible pick at the end of the game. You know what I'm saying? You're in a position to win. You had the last drive of the game to seal it, to either tie it or win it, right? If you go for two. So it was a terrible pick. Shout out to Chef Jew. It was a terrible pick, but he didn't have a terrible game. I went back, rewatched. I'm like, okay, that pass, he would like to have that pass back. Okay, that pass, he probably like to have that pass back. But situational football, there was no, oh, you got to be better there. It was like, yo, we lost. And it's okay to say, dang, we lost that game. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, is it an excuse? No, it's not an excuse, but it's the reasons why we lost. Reasons why we lost are not excuses why we lost. This is why we lost. Do you feel me? So I went back to the Eagles game. And before I say what happened in the Eagles game, I want to be very, very clear. There are people, and this goes for me as well. There are people who are Tua fans, and they can't. They get caught up in the Tua-non, right? And then there are people who don't like Tua. So there's a in between as well. And then there's rational people somewhere in between. There are people who are like, no matter how good Tua does, they will not give him credit. It will be everybody else's credit. McDaniel's system, Tyreek Hill, everybody else's credit. And then on the other side, it's never Tua's fault. It was this person's fault. It was coach's fault. It was the defense fault. It was the O-line's fault. And then I thought I was in the middle. I would like to think I was in the middle. So I went back to the Eagles game. I'm like, bro, I think Dolphin fans are hypersensitive, super hypersensitive when it comes to their quarterback. We're jaded. We went through all the trauma, and all of a sudden, if we don't win like we want to win and how we want to look when we're winning, blow it up, get rid of the coach, get rid of the quarterback. And that's a hypersensitivity. And here's why. I watched the Eagles game, bro. And everyone talks about the pick that Tua threw at the end of that game. And I'm going to just break it down. Jalen Hurts, going into that game, had 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Okay, didn't know that. It's crazy how hindsight is a beautiful thing. Tua had 14 touchdowns. I don't know how many picks he had in week 6. We could actually go back. I wanted to go back. If you could bring that up, Kadeem, I appreciate you. If you could find out how many picks Tua had before the Eagles game. Jalen Hurts had 7 touchdowns and 7 picks. And real quick, I'll wait to continue while Kadeem pulls this stat up because I want to be super fair and super transparent. Transparent. Tua had 14 touchdowns. Do we know how many picks?
I looked at the wrong thing.
It's cool. It's cool. I'll throw this fun fact in here while Kadeem is looking up how many picks Tua had before the Eagles game. Fun fact: Tua is one of the least blitzed quarterbacks in the NFL. So everybody who's talking about, oh, he's not an off-script quarterback and he can't, if they get pressure in his face, is a wrap. Is it? Because he's one of the least blitzed quarterbacks in the NFL. And the team that blitzed him the most is the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're about to play them in Super Wildcard Weekend. You found that stat yet? How many picks he had? Okay, so 14 touchdowns, 5 picks. Cool. I didn't remember that when week 6 was here. So here we go. Game time. Philly game that everyone said Tua blew it in.
Hold on. Say 14 touchdowns.
Yeah, did he have 14 touchdowns?
3, 4, 8, 9, 11.
All right, 11. This says 14. This was on the I screenshotted it from the actual TV. So this is from Sunday Night Football. We could get on those heads for having it wrong because it says he has 14 touchdowns. This was actually on the TV. Actually, we can just show it. 14 touchdowns, Sunday Night Football. This is from the actual broadcast. So if he had 11, Sunday Night Football was wrong. So hear me out. Let me land the plane, Kadeem. You ready? You good? We here?
Yeah, I'm waiting, yeah.
It was 17-3 in the first half of the game. It's 3 minutes left to go in the half. It is 17-3. Eagles are up. Dolphins have the ball. At this point, Tua hasn't had an inerrant pass that's like egregious. Like, yo, damn, that's a bad pass, bro. We need that back. Like, oh, Tua's under. You got something for us, Kadeem? It looked like you just shook your head. Yeah,
it was 14. I missed the Panthers game. Apologies.
All right, no, it's cool. It's cool. So we fixed that up, cleared it up. Tua had 14 touchdowns and 5 picks before the Eagles game. We got that out the way. Jalen Hurts had 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. Cool. So to the Eagles game, it's 17-3. 17-3. Color commentary. Appreciate you in the comments. We got the facts right. Got to get the facts right, or the podcast doesn't mean anything. It's 17-3 in the first half. Dolphins are losing, and Tua has not done anything like terrible that I've watched yet. And I can't wait for someone to say, "Oh, you full of crap. I'm coming on the podcast, and we're gonna watch the game together." And I can't wait because it's 2 minutes left to go in the half, and nothing has happened yet on Tua's behalf. 17-3, we're losing. What happens? Let's see. Let's go to the notes. Remember when Cedric Wilson threw that halfback pass? You probably don't remember. It's okay. Cedric Wilson tried to throw a pass, and it was 3rd down. We got like a false start, and we backed it up even more. Very next play, Tua throws a 30-yard, the same exact play. Tua hit Cedric Wilson on in the Bills game, hit him in the numbers going out of bounds. The same exact play call. He hit Cedric Wilson again in this Eagles game for 30 yards. Comes back, scores a touchdown before the half. It is 10-17. Tua has us in this game. So far, he hasn't wet the bed yet, what everyone says he did, right? He brought us back in this game. So far, he's the reason we're in this game. 2nd and 18, Tua misses Savant Ahmed in the third quarter with 4 minutes left. So the whole game almost passed already. We almost done the third quarter, and Tua has his worst pass of the game, second worst pass of the game, and it's to Savant Ahmed with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. So far, it's not a terrible game, and Tua is actually the reason we're in the game. What happens left? 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Crazy that we got to the fourth quarter already, and Tua hasn't had a bad game yet that everyone says Tua was terrible in this game. And it's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. 17-17, by the way. Tua brought us back in this game. 17-17. Tua brings us back in this game. Fourth quarter, hasn't had a terrible, quote-unquote, terrible game yet, but we're here. 4 minutes left. Tua hits Tyreek Hill in stride for a touchdown. My bad. He dropped it. Y'all remember that? The drop off of Tyreek Hill's hands for a touchdown? Cool. No problem. It is what it is. We don't convert on fourth down. Give the Eagles the ball back, and then the Dolphins got a pick six. It's okay. This game was week 6. People might not remember, and that's how we got 17-17. Philly takes the 11 minutes left in the game. My bad. Let me go back. 11 minutes left in the game. Philly takes a 7-minute drive down the field and scores a touchdown. 7 minutes. And that's how we got the 4 minutes left. Now Philly is up 24-17. And Tua kept us in his game. The Dolphins got a pick 6, but we're down 7. This is an actual heavyweight football game. It was a game until it wasn't a game. Then the epic drive that everyone remembers. Tua takes us down the field. Throws the pick with, let's see, how many minutes was left? Can't remember. I didn't write it down. But at this time, before he threw that pick, Tua was 22 for 29 with a touchdown. The reason I had to go through all of that, and I'm sorry I took so long to arrive there, was not only because Tua didn't have a terrible game, he was the reason we were in the game, and he threw the one interception at the end of the game that Jalen Waddle ran the wrong route and brought receiver a DB over there. Nonetheless, it's Tua's fault because he threw the pick, but he didn't have a terrible game. Like everyone said, oh, Tua was terrible against the Eagles. Was he? Because let's go back and watch it. Hold on. I'm about to give it to you right now. I'm about to give it to you right now. And he wasn't terrible against the Bills. So, yes, we are hypersensitive when it comes to losing football games. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's on the quarterback. We lost. Oh, it's Tua's fault. He was terrible. But he's necessarily not even terrible. And it's like, yo, you could lose a game without putting it on someone's career like, oh, he's got to go. And now it's your floor, Kadeem.
Isn't all of that just subjective?
Subjective, is it?
So like you watch the Bills and the Eagles game back, and your opinion was that Tua wasn't awful. That was like you watched the game,
right? We got to ask the question. You said subjective. I got to clear up what subjective is. Saying he was terrible, is that subjective? Because we might have to clear that up first.
Well, of course. So that wasn't my opinion. But if me and you watch the exact same game, and you go, that was a great game, and I go, that was a terrible game, you just have a difference of opinion. It's subjective.
And I don't think it is. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm assuming we have to clear this point up before you could continue. Because I don't think it is subjective. If someone is 22 for 29, that means he only had 7 incompletions. And if he has 3 drops in those incompletions, and he has 2 off passes, and one of them are a pick, how does that equate to being terrible? So that's not subjective.
So not in this game in particular, but if being 22 for 29 or being 17 for 19 or whatever, doesn't mean you've had a great game. It could just be a case of, hey, the guy just thrown 5-yard slants. So again, that wasn't in that game.
I do agree. I do agree with that. Go ahead.
So yeah, like obviously that's why I was saying, like, you watched those games back, and your take was that Tua wasn't terrible, and that's
Hold on. But we didn't clarify subjective though, because just because I didn't say he had a good game doesn't mean he didn't have a terrible game. So I think it's factual if someone is 22 for 29 and has multiple drops in those 7 passes, and then through a bad pass to Savon Ahmed that was over his head, which is on Tua, or maybe 2 bad passes, and a terrible pick at the end of the game, regardless of a receiver threw a round route, that doesn't mean he's terrible. Like, and I don't think that's subjective at all. Like, how is that game terrible if you threw 2 bad passes?
Because again, that's you saying.
So what? So all right. So what is? I guess the new question is, what's the definition of terrible?
And it's, I don't think it's just that. It's more. I think the best way to describe this without going too long into it is the quarterback rankings. I know for a fact, you are going to have Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence in a complete different stratosphere to where Tom Valentine's going to have them. And at the very least, you are going to differ so much on Trevor Lawrence. I cannot wait to watch you two go back and forth on that.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to say that he had so many bad games, blah, blah, blah. No, Tom's going to disagree. And that's what I'm saying. It's somewhat subjective. You could watch a game and a quarterback and say that person was either terrible, good, whatever you say coming out of that game, and someone can turn around and say, well, hold on, due to X, Y, and Z, the game wasn't that bad or wasn't terrible. So I'm not disagreeing with your take on the Eagles and the Bills game. I'm just saying, for those who said he was terrible, that was their opinion. Whether their opinion comes from a place of bias or whatever, they watched the game and said, I felt Tua was terrible. You watched it and said,
point. That's great. But everything you said about the quarterback rankings is totally irrelevant when it comes to the Eagles game. All we're talking about right now is the Eagles game and the Bills game. So I agree with what you're saying, but again, we have to address what makes a terrible game. So you're telling, and this has nothing to do with Tua. We could insert any quarterback here. QB1, whoever that quarterback is. If he goes 22 for 29 with 3 drops, 1 drop touchdown, and he only throws 1 pick, all right, is that a terrible game? Like, matter of fact, that's the actual stat. We can't do the actual stat. If he goes 27 for 30 with 1 pick, that means he has 2 incompletions. How can someone say that was terrible, bro? Like, how and what way?
Again, because it depends on the 27 passes. So I know I don't know his stats.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. No. I get it.
Yeah. So again, I don't know this. I don't know his passing stats for all of his games. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at like a Justin Herbert passing chart, and all of the passes are behind line of scrimmage, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. out
But he had 27 completions out of 30. You could look at it and just go, do you know what? That's not a good game, because 27 of those passes, or like 19 of those passes, were around the line of scrimmage. There was a few downfield. And again, that's why I'm saying, obviously, go back and watch the Eagles game. I am in no way saying that of the 22 passes, they were dump offs. I'm in no way saying that. But again, that's why I'm saying, just on the face of it, obviously you watch the game back, but on the face of it, being 22 for 27, it doesn't make it terrible. Well, it kind of does depend on the passes. But you weren't saying about it.
So, I get it. So that's perfect. And that's why I let you finish. Because if that was the case, if this QB1 dude was 27 for 30 and all of his passes were behind the line, obviously there's context of the game. Like, we seen the game. So the fact that this team, and bruh, I ain't gonna lie, this offseason, we're gonna have an episode. I'm gonna do it by myself if no one says, yo, you full of crap. I'll just do it by myself, because I'm thinking people are gonna go look back and say, all right, well, maybe he was right. And I'm gonna have to just highlight it myself. With all that being said, Tua kept us in this game, brought us back, tied the game up, hit all kind of dope passes. Like, damn, look at that pass. You know what I'm saying? And then Tyreek Hill dropped the touchdown. Still kept us in the game. Defense get a pick 6. I seen the context of the game. None of the passes are screen passes or nothing like that. The fact that this man only threw one pick at the end of the game that was arguably the wrong route ran, and everyone called him terrible, is my point, bro. Like, the Dolphin fans are hypersensitive to when the game is lost. It just has to go on somebody's shoulders. And it does not have to be like that. Good thing for us, we're not losing this weekend to the Chiefs, and we're going to win it. And we're also about to get in a bonus time, but I'm going to let you clean everything up before we get over the bonus time.
Yeah, so there was quite a few comments. I want to get for quite a few of them. Chef Jew says the game was crazy because the Eagles kept using the tush push on 3-and-1 and 3rd-and-1 and 4th-and-1. Color commentary says, yet people still wanted to claim we aren't competitive in the big game. Sorry. Tim says Josh Allen in the last game, one rushing touchdown, one passing touchdown, loads of yards passing and rushing, but 3 red zone turnovers, terrible end of half pass, terrible game, but game-winning game. Hooked Up Joe says, watching other games, we see bad throws all game long by both quarterbacks. I think all the time, man, everyone will be talking about that one play all week. Color commentary says, I agree that the score of the Eagles game does not accurately describe how competitive we were. Shout out to Utah Fins fan over on Twitter /X. Says Tua has improved in his 4-year career. Adds he stayed healthy all year this year in his first playoff game. What more can we expect? The Cards Fin fan says, here is the problem. The Finns just can't seem to play bully ball, at least against good teams. Johnny Lightning says, our Dolphins are going to beat the Chiefs. It's not over until it's over. Hooked Up Joe says, Tua is number 1 in total yards and top 3 in yards per attempt. Not dump off passes, lots of air yards. Chef Drew says, I just thought our defense would carry us in the game. Cards Finn 68 points out, we are the 6th seed. And then Utah Fins fan says, look at the Eagles now, they probably lose in the playoff games.
And we about to get into bonus time. Shout out to Thomas Valentine, affiliate of the podcast. Quarterback rankings come up. If Trevor Lawrence is above Tua, I promise we're going to have the 5 Trevor Lawrence games, and he's going to have to show me why Trevor Lawrence is better than Tua. Shout out, he's not here to defend himself, so I don't want to make it seem like this is a shot. Like, I rock with Tom, but there's no way on God's aqua and orange earth that Trevor Lawrence is better than Tua Tagovailoa Olipola Tagovailoa. But y'all know what time it is. Stay positive. Test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
A few things. We will discuss it properly on the preview episode tomorrow. But Utah Fins fan says, is Raheem playing in this game? Friends of the podcast, Javon Holland, Raheem Mostert, Deshaun Elliott, and Jalen Waddle are all going to be questionable and all be game time decisions. That's all we know for now, and probably aren't going to know anything else until literally game time. Color Commentary says, now is the time. Listen, go shout out to Color Commentary from the Fins tailgate. They're live every single day. If they're not live now, they'll be live very, very shortly. So shout out to all the guys over there at the Fins tailgate. I can imagine there's going to be some interesting debates this season. And I have a feeling that there might be a few collabs because there's so many different opinions on both sides. Charlie, the NFL London teams, or some of them, have been announced today. Have you seen this yet?
No, but I like it when you surprise me with stuff like this.
So, what we do know is basically, where's it gone? So many tweets this morning. So, it's the NFC's turn to be the home team this year. It's kind of all of it, at the very least, was like probably not going to get a Dolphin game this year. But you never know, how the schedule works. So the home teams this year, the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, and obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars. The home game in Munich is the Panthers and the Brazil games no team has been announced yet. But looking at the Dolphins schedule for 2024, I'm gonna bring up very. First of all, what do you make of those teams I just mentioned so far?
Almost got a cramp. That was bad. Yeah, I like it. It's cool. I mean, we got the I looked to see, we got our home and away opponents. We don't have the schedule. We got our home, away, and opponents for next year. We were gonna bring this up on next podcast. So I was trying to see if we played the Bears or Minnesota to see if we would play them in London,
and unfortunately, no. Charlie's feeling it. So yeah, the Dolphins don't play.
We got Jacksonville at home, as like Jacksonville comes to us. So Dolphins versus Jacksonville in London won't be a thing.
Yeah. So our best bet is the Brazil game. I've already been told I can't make Brazil. It is what it is. I might try and speak the wife around, but we will see how it goes. But yeah, I was hoping for a Dolphins London game. Chance I can be Brazil, but I will definitely be in Miami to watch it. Tim reckons Brazil will be us away at Seahawks, Rams, or Green Bay. Shout out to Niner Gang. Says good luck Dolphins. That's what I love about the Go Town Dolphins community. We have a bunch of fans from all over the NFL. Shout out Niner Gang. Thanks for that. Listen, good luck to you guys as well. Would love nothing more for a Dolphins 49ers Super Bowl. That would be amazing.
The Mick Shanahan Bowl.
100%. And Color says, before we head up out of there, pass back to you. Color says, I know this will sound odd coming from me, but Tyreek with the ball in open grass is how we win this game. Tyreek in the open field, the negative temps is brutal on linebackers. Listen, the Dolphins have a chance of beating Kansas City, regardless of where it is. The game plan has to be absolutely solid, but that's the case in every single game. Beat you're playing the 49ers on the road or the 1-16 Carolina Panthers. It doesn't matter, but it's going to be interesting. Charlie, anything to add?
The Dolphins are going to win this game. Tune in the next episode to find out how.
Guys, we shall see you on the next one. Thanks for everyone in the comments. Make sure you drop a like, share, and subscribe. All the good stuff. Peace.